What's up guys, Noor here and welcome to Book of Showtime Chapter 42. As always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to like and share with your friends, and if you have a topic you'd like for me to cover for Book of Showtime, be sure to leave it in the comment section down below, or any way you can reach me on social media, or the Book of Showtime Discord. Throughout October, I've been doing the October Selects mini-series, which I tell you guys which games you should be playing during October, but what are some games to avoid? Today, I'll be bringing you the October D-Selects. These are the games that you shouldn't play under any circumstance for October. We're going to open up with one of the more disappointing games in recent memory, Back 4 Blood. In part 1 of the October Selects, I talked about Vermintide 2 and how there hasn't been a game that's come close to being as good as Left 4 Dead 2 and how Vermintide was the closest. We all thought that Back 4 Blood was going to be what we wanted for years, but as history has shown, nobody can tackle this subgenre correctly. For starters, Back 4 Blood had terrible and mundane enemy and map design. None of the locations stood out, and none of the special enemy types were that memorable either. They all just kind of had like that same general look, which is like, it just comes off lazy to me. When you play Left 4 Dead, every special enemy was extremely unique in appearance. And what made Left 4 Dead 2 special was the simplicity of it. Back 4 Blood kind of just throws all of that out the window. You have perk cards, and the weapons have all these attachments, and each character has abilities, and there's in-game currency. It's just bloated and unnecessary. Not every game needs to have these deep mechanics to flesh it out. Having a level system in a game like this kind of means that new players will always be late to the party, and I know it's primarily focused on PvE, but this is a game that, like I said, it didn't need any of that, and now they've already stopped supporting the game. Back 4 Blood was one of the biggest disappointments of 2021, and when you're using your developer ties to Left 4 Dead to market your game, you're setting the bar extremely high. Now, if they didn't do that, my friends and I might not have expected much, but now here we are, wondering what could have been and if we'll ever get a game as good as Left 4 Dead 2. Next up, Dead Island. Funny that we had Dead Island 2 on the October Selects, but its predecessor finds itself on the opposite end of the spectrum. Dead Island had a solid foundation and great trailers, but was just boring. This is a game that somehow has gotten worse over time. That's how bad it is. It has not aged well at all. I played this within the last couple of years with a friend of mine, and I thought, hey, if we do this together and maybe as adults, it wouldn't be that bad, but nope, it is just as mid as I remember. The game's plot is mundane, and it lacks any personality or defining characteristics. There's not one single notable moment in the campaign, and even the main characters leave a lot to be desired. It's amazing that we even got a pair of sequels to Dead Island, because I thought the franchise might have died with Riptide, because Riptide was just as bad as Dead Island, and then Dying Light came along and was miles better than Dead Island ever was. I was really worried. Now, the silver lining of this game is the killer intro song, Who Do You Voodoo, which I used to be able to rap the entire thing when I was in high school, yet I failed my Regents like 3 times, but that's just how it be. Finally, Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. Here's your token Resident Evil mention. I said back in Chapter 38, the Resident Evil franchise has its fair share of spin-offs, and that with this series, the spin-offs are either really good or really bad. This is the case of the latter. Now, on paper, Operation Raccoon City had a great premise. 4-player co-op shooter. It takes place during the Raccoon City outbreak. You play as the Umbrella Secret Service. You come into contact with some of the series' most iconic characters. But if games were as good on paper as they were in practice, we wouldn't have this chapter right now. There wouldn't be an October D-Selects. Operation Raccoon City was terrible across the board. The plot, alarmingly pedestrian, especially since it's not canon. They could have done a lot more and taken some great creative liberties, which I know saying that the plot is bad in a Resident Evil game is like, you don't play Resident Evil for the story, but come on. I feel like they could have done a lot better. The firefights were uninspired, and there's a lack of balance on both sides, and bullet sponge bosses, and just overall mediocre gunplay. The graphics and presentation are actually probably the strongest part of this game. They're serviceable enough, they're nothing special, but I've always been a graphics last guy. I don't care how great the game looks. It has to be fun. This game, it was frustrating how disappointed I was, as again, the premise and idea of this game was solid. Any Resident Evil fan can get behind this, but the execution, horrendous. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know down below what games you think I should avoid during October. Inshallah, I will see you in the next chapter.